shadows of forgotten nights, where darkness lingers and secrets take root, there lies a tale that beckons to be told, a tale of a taxi driver, an otherworldly encounter, and the chilling retribution that followed. I have always navigated the streets as a taxi driver, ferrying countless souls through the tapestry of the city's secrets. Yet, none could have prepared me for the night when the boundaries between the living and the ethereal would blur beyond reckoning. The city was veiled in an eerie mist as I cruised along the streets, my taxi slicing through the darkness. And then, out of nowhere, she appeared, a specter cloaked in the shroud of night itself. Her form was hazy, indistinct, a twisted visage of suffering that bore into my very soul. Tangled strands of hair clung to her deathly pale face, her features contorted by anguish. Tattered garments clung to her form, and her eyes, those hollow, accusing eyes, glowed with an otherworldly light. Against all reason, I stopped, allowing her entrance into my taxi. But as she settled within, a nauseating stench of decay infiltrated the air, a scent that mingled with the malevolence emanating from her very essence. Following her directions, I journeyed through the night until we arrived at a cemetery, a realm of quietude and shadows. She stepped out, dissolving into the night like a wisp of smoke. Yet, as I drove away, the sensation of her presence lingered, a phantom hitchhiker that defied my logic. Days bled into nights, yet her memory clung to me like a relentless storm. Her image appeared at the edge of my vision, a chilling reminder of the nightmarish encounter that had invaded my reality. Her gaze never wavered, a ceaseless watch over my every move, a haunting specter that stalked me without relent. Seeking refuge within my own home, I found no solace from her malevolence. Her presence infiltrated the very walls, a chilling reminder that my life was no longer my own. A sense of impending doom loomed over me like a storm cloud, my sanity slipping through my fingers. In a final bid to escape her clutches, I ventured into my room, spilling forth the tale to my wife, a desperate attempt to share the burden that had consumed me. Yet, as my words tumbled forth, a blast of icy wind swept through the room, and there she stood, an embodiment of torment, her eyes devoid of compassion. With my wife clutching my arm, we fled in desperate haste, propelled forward by a primal instinct that recognized the dire urgency of our situation. It was as if our very souls were on fire, ignited by an overwhelming need to elude the clutches of the inescapable specter that pursued us. The nearest church loomed ahead, a beacon of hope in the midst of the encroaching darkness, its towering spire reaching towards the heavens as if seeking divine intervention. With each echoing footstep that brought us closer to its sheltering embrace, the church became a bastion of respite against the relentless forces that sought to ensnare us. Entering the sanctuary of the church was akin to stepping onto consecrated ground, a place where the boundaries between the ethereal and the material converged. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows upon the time-worn walls, creating an atmosphere of both solace and trepidation. Yet, even within this hallowed haven, the lingering sense of unease persisted, as if the very air had absorbed the malevolence that had trailed behind us. It was as if the ghost's vengeful spirit, attuned to our every move, had managed to breach the sanctified boundaries, seeping into the very fabric of our supposed refuge. As we huddled together within the cavernous interior, the echoes of our frantic breaths seemed to blend with the solemn whispers of the past. The wooden pews, polished by centuries of worship, offered an illusion of sanctuary against the horrors that encroached. Yet, even amidst the reverent stillness, a chilling undercurrent of anticipation gnawed at our resolve. It was as if the ghost's presence, marked by an undeniable malevolence, lingered at the periphery, waiting for the right moment to manifest its vengeance. Each creak of the old timbers, each flicker of the candle flames, seemed to carry with it a warning, an eerie reminder that even within the sacred walls, we were not safe from the reach of the supernatural. In the dim light, a priest emerged from the shadows, his robes billowing as if imbued with an aura of divine authority. His countenance bore the weight of countless prayers, and his eyes, deep and unwavering, reflected a faith unshaken by the trials of the mortal world. With a voice that resonated with a timeless power, he raised his hands in a gesture of exorcism, his words a potent blend of ancient incantations and fervent supplications. It was a battle of words and wills, an intricate dance between the forces of light and darkness that had converged upon this hallowed battleground. But even as the priest's words reverberated through the sacred space, the ghost's defiance seemed to echo in response. Her presence remained unyielding, her form distorted by the writhing tendrils of her ethereal energy. It was then that her voice, a hollow whisper carried on the wind, mingled with the priest's prayers. She confessed the nature of her vendetta, her words a haunting lamentation that spoke of betrayal and tragedy. Her very essence seethed with a fury that defied the realm of the living, her malevolence as palpable as the shadows that clung to the church's corners. The priest's efforts to dispel her waned, his struggle a testament to the overwhelming power that the ghost wielded. The air grew charged with an otherworldly energy, the very fabric of reality distorting as her presence intensified. The ornate crosses that adorned the walls began to sway, and the candle flames flickered as if responding to an unseen force. The clash of supernatural energies reached a crescendo, and the church seemed to tremble as if caught in the throes of a cosmic battle. It was then, as the tension between light and darkness reached its zenith, that a second priest emerged, an elder figure whose demeanor exuded an air of ancient wisdom and unwavering resolve. With eyes that seemed to hold the weight of countless encounters with the supernatural, he stepped forward to confront the ghost, his voice a resonant command that cut through the chaos. And as their forces clashed, the very laws of nature seemed to bend and warp, the boundaries of reality shattered in the wake of their conflict. The ghost's form began to contort, her unearthly energy weaving through the air like tendrils of smoke. The pews trembled, and the very ground seemed to vibrate as her power surged. Objects within the church began to levitate, a symphony of chaos that underscored the intensity of their battle. The priest, unwavering in his resolve, summoned all his spiritual might, his voice a fierce counterpoint to the ghost's tormenting cries. But even as the priest's words resonated with divine authority, the ghost's energy intensified. She began to hover, her form untethered by the laws of gravity, and the very atmosphere shimmered with her presence. The battle waged on, a maelstrom of power that defied comprehension, until finally, with a burst of ethereal energy, the ghost emerged victorious. In the aftermath, the church stood as a testament to the devastation that had unfolded within its walls. The priest, defeated but not broken, struggled to rise, his voice a weary echo of the battle that had transpired. And as the ghost's malevolent laughter echoed through the air, the very fabric of reality seemed to warp around her, her presence an inescapable reminder of the sins that had drawn her back from beyond the veil. Our minds fractured by the horrors we had borne witness to, my wife and I were forever altered by that nightmarish encounter. She was consumed by madness, her once brilliant mind a shattered mosaic of fragmented memories. As for me, I found myself admitted to a mental hospital, my grip on reality slipping further with each passing day. The ghost's revenge had exacted a toll far beyond what I could have ever imagined, a price paid in shattered minds and fractured souls. And so, as I languished within the sterile confines of the hospital, I found myself haunted not only by the malevolent spirit that had pursued me but by the agonizing truth that lay at the heart of her vengeance. She was my ex-girlfriend, a woman I had betrayed and abandoned, a woman whose life had been tragically cut short by the very choices I had made. Her presence was a reminder that the past is an entity that never truly fades away, a specter that lingers, eternally seeking retribution for the sins we thought we could bury. The life of a taxi driver has a rhythm of its own, an ebb and flow guided by the pulse of the city's heartbeat. But sometimes, the night holds secrets that even the darkest alleys cannot conceal. This is the tale of a ride that plunged me into a realm beyond the realm of the living, a realm of haunting and horror. It was around 1 a.m. when the call came in, a request for a pickup from the hospital via Uber. I headed towards the source, the hospital's fluorescent lights casting eerie glows on the empty streets. Little did I know that this passenger would take me on a journey far beyond the physical realm. As I pulled up to the hospital's entrance, a figure emerged from the shadows. A woman with an ethereal aura, her eyes held a knowing, a glimpse into a world beyond life's grasp. She entered my cab, her features illuminated by the glow of streetlights, an unsettling combination of beauty and something far more sinister. With a voice that carried a weight beyond her years, she requested I take her to her house. An address given, we embarked on a journey that would alter the course of my reality. I watched as the cityscape shifted outside, the landscape an ever-changing tapestry of lights and shadows. When we reached her destination, an eerie feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. She turned to me, a soft smile tugging at her lips. But as she prepared to disembark, a realization struck: she had no money to pay the fare. She beckoned me to follow her inside, and curiosity mingled with unease led me to obey. We entered her building, the dimly lit hallway casting long shadows that seemed to dance to a haunting melody. As we stepped into the elevator, something shifted. My breath caught in my throat as I realized that her reflection was conspicuously absent in the mirror, a chilling detail that defied the laws of reality. A shiver ran down my spine as she turned towards me, her smile deepening. The air grew heavy with an energy I could not comprehend. Suddenly, the elevator jolted, and darkness engulfed us as the power flickered and died. Panic gripped me, and when the lights returned, the elevator doors opened, but not to the floor we intended. We stood on the 13th floor, a number that has long been associated with superstition and the unknown, a threshold between the mundane and the arcane. The dim lighting cast eerie shadows that clung to the walls, as if the very walls were imbued with secrets and stories of the past. The hallway stretched out before us, seemingly endless, its length punctuated by closed doors that stood like sentinels guarding the mysteries hidden within. The air grew dense, charged with an uncanny energy that seemed to vibrate in the spaces between heartbeats. Goosebumps erupted on my skin as I took in the surroundings, the faded wallpaper, the creaking floors, and the heavy silence that hung in the air. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, to escape the grip of the supernatural, but an unexplainable force seemed to hold me in place. The woman's gaze was like a vice, holding me captive within its depths. Her eyes, once filled with a sorrowful knowing, now seemed to gleam with a sinister intent. It was as if she possessed the power to reach into the darkest corners of my mind, to unravel my thoughts and fears with a single glance. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat a painful reminder of the danger that encircled me. With each passing moment, the feeling of unease grew, as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling around me. The hallway seemed to stretch and warp, the shadows twisting into grotesque shapes that danced at the edges of my vision. Whispers, soft and ethereal, brushed against my ears, carrying with them secrets and promises that I dared not comprehend. A gust of cold wind swept through the corridor, a spectral breath that carried with it a sense of melancholy and despair. The woman's smile, once subtle, now held a wicked edge, as if she reveled in the fears that gripped me. My thoughts raced, a chaotic symphony of terror and confusion that echoed in the labyrinthine hallway. I felt a compulsion, an almost hypnotic urge, to step closer to her, to plunge deeper into the abyss that her presence seemed to create. It was as if I were a puppet, a marionette in her ghostly play, and she held the strings that guided my every movement. The 13th floor had become a stage, and I was an unwitting actor in a performance that defied reason and reality. As the moments stretched on, time itself seemed to warp, bending to the will of this unearthly encounter. The hallway became a maze of uncertainty, a place where dimensions collided and intersected. The woman's laughter, a haunting melody that resonated with my very soul, filled the air, mingling with the whispers that surrounded me. Every fiber of my being screamed for escape, for release from the clutches of this spectral entity. But it was as if my legs were rooted to the floor, unable to carry me to safety. The woman's gaze held me captive, her intentions inscrutable, her presence a haunting enigma that defied explanation. And so, I remained on the 13th floor, caught between the realms of the living and the dead, a pawn in a game that I could neither comprehend nor control. The hallway seemed to stretch into infinity, a twisted tapestry of fear and fascination. As the seconds ticked away, I realized that I had stepped into a realm beyond the known, a place where superstition and reality collided in a dance of darkness. Desperation gave rise to determination, and I tried every means possible to escape that cursed floor. After what felt like an eternity, I found myself back in the elevator, gasping for breath. As the doors closed, a sense of relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. Returning to my taxi, a shock awaited me. The back seat was littered with money, each bill stained with blood. My heart raced as I stared at the gruesome scene before me, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and terror. The next day, a chilling revelation awaited me in the pages of the newspaper. The very woman who had entered my taxi was now a headline, her life tragically cut short by a taxi accident. The details matched with eerie precision, the same woman who had left her haunting imprint on my reality. As time passed, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had crossed a boundary, that the night had shown me a glimpse into a dimension beyond my understanding. The encounter with the female ghost continued to haunt my thoughts, a chilling reminder that sometimes, the realm of the living and the realm of the dead are not as distinct as they seem.